Shalom Aleichem.
What is the flower above you?
It's a picture I took.
Wow, beautiful. Where did you took the picture?
Some local park.
Oh, so are you that good or the picture that beautiful? Huh?
A combination of both.
Is it you or the flower?
It's a combination. Mostly nature.
Humble guy.
How are you doing?
Doing good, thank God. Cannot wait to go back in person. Are we going to see you 6 o'clock in the morning in Sola when everything is in order? Huh?
I'm late to work right now. I'm driving to work right now, so I start pretty early, unfortunately.
So how do you do it? You just put a different background?
But the Zoom works for me. No, it's the same one. It's just my face. Don't let it scare you.
Oh, I understand, but I don't see you driving. You can put a different background?
Yeah, it's called you can change your background. It's called a virtual background.
Custom background, but I see his seatbelt. That was the hint.
There you go.
Tzemach, where's the orange wall? Like, what are you sitting somewhere else today?
We could do that way if you want. Or that way.
Okay. Oh, it's a beautiful house.
Thank you.
I like the bins.
That was my dining room. This is my living room.
Where do you live, Tzemach?
On Highland.
Oh, on Island. Oh, very nice. And I never saw you in person, but so nice to meet you.
Bezrat Hashem, soon you will.
Bezrat Hashem, can't wait.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning, guys.
Is the Rabbi here? Oh, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Yaakov.
Good morning. Morning, Rabbi. Morning, everyone.
Today's a good one, Chadra.
Usually you say this kind of stuff, but okay.
Morning.
Good morning, Tzvika.
Morning.
Good morning, Tzvika. Where's the shirt?
He's wearing a shirt. Was sagst du?
Yeah? Okay.
Even Yochai is wearing a shirt.
I'm the only one that didn't dress with my Zoom shirt, but okay.
Shlomo, ani idcha.
Just Shlomo, don't ask people to stand up. This is okay.
Mazel Tov to Shlomo.
All right. With the help of Hashem, we are learning Shabbos Daf Samach. We're going to continue explaining the Mishnah we had on Daf Samach Dalid Amid Beis that tells us that a person is allowed to walk out into the Reshus Harabim on Shabbos with a wad in the ear, with a wad, with a moich in the sandal. A woman can walk out with her protection during her time of Nida. We can walk out with a peppercorn in the mouth, with a lump of salt in the mouth. We're going to go address every single one of these items of the Mishnah. We're going to be learning the rule that kol mida de migni yabe, that any item that a woman would be embarrassed to take off in public. Lo yasya la'achvuye, she indeed won't take it off to show off, as we'll give out examples. And therefore, these will be items that a woman is allowed to walk out b'reshus harabim, because there isn't this rabbinic fear that you might carry. We're speaking obviously about items that doesn't violate the hoitzah midoraisa. We're going to be learning a new Mishnah with more items that a woman may walk out with b'reshus harabim. We're going to be learning a very interesting, perhaps even a shocking type of therapy for wounds. You know, mamash, we're going to see people get shocked when they learn this concept. We're going to be learning and reviewing 3 practices of the father of Shmuel. which will bring us into a good review of some basic laws of mikvahs, the difference between going into a mikvah that's made out of spring water, mayim chayim, versus going into a mikvah that's made out of rainwater. There we have the restrictions that it cannot be meishuvim, etc. The question is whether you can go to a river. Can a river be a bona fide mikvah? Problem with the river is that it's not gathered in one place, it's flowing. If it's a spring, it's not a problem. If the river is rainwater, it is a problem. What happens if it's a mixture of both? We follow Raiv. If we follow Raiv, maybe it has to do with what time of the year. In other words, there are times of the years that rivers get swollen. Are they swollen from rainwaters, or are they swollen from more spring waters? We had this the last time in Nida. We're going to be stepping back and asking a general question whether one is allowed to employ a ha'arama, a certain type of halachic deceit or a legal loophole in order to circumvent a prohibition of Shabbos. This is a general machlokes. We're going to be applying it to a specific case here. And God willing, we'll have time to at least start the new Mishnah, Daf Samachei Amud Beis, that will begin speaking about a person who is an amputee, Rahman al-Islam. In the times of Chazal, the wooden legs, very unlike the legs that we have today, then it wasn't a big help to walk. It wasn't a help at all to walk. It didn't even really support you. It was mainly there just to cover up the infirmity that the person has a leg missing. And therefore the question is, can you walk out with that? Very unlike walking out today with a walking stick, or God forbid if a person has a non-natural limb, as we'll speak out when we get into the sugya. Let us start where we left off. We left off right at the end, the last word in the second line from the top of the Amid, u'b'moich sheba'azna. This is both a man and a woman, that if a person, let's say, has an ear infection and they have to put, let's say today will be a cotton ball in your ear or some other substance that will absorb wax. This is for therapeutical purposes. So the Mishnah says that you are allowed to walk out with this moich. It's not considered a masoi, nor is there a fear that you're going to take it out to show it off. No big yichus to show off the maisa that you have in your ear. You're never going to take it out. You will never end up carrying it. Good. So says the Mishnah, says the Gemara, that Tani Rami Bar Yecheskel taught a Braisa. He knew a Braisa which expounded the din of the Mishnah, that v'hu, that's only shekasher ba'azna, that this wad, that this moich is somehow tied to her ear or to his ear, because if it's not tied there, it might fall off. True, it's not like a tachshit that a woman will take off to show off. This won't happen. But if there's a possibility that it would fall off, then we do have a fear that if it falls out, a person won't immediately put it back in. It might be ashamed to do so. They might actually, but today, Baruch Hashem, where there's so much abundance, if it would fall out today, you would leave it on the street. It will be disgusting. Then people might carry it. They might need it. So then weiter, we will have a fear that a person might carry a daladamas b'rishus harabim. It has to be tied. Likewise, when the Mishnah gave the case of ubemoich shebesandala, if you're wearing a sandal and you have today they would call it an orthopedic insert, right? Then they had a simple something, just you shouldn't be standing on the hard wooden sole of your sandal, and you are allowed to walk out with it. It's considered part of your beged. It's not a masui. We're not afraid you're going to show it off. And here again, Tani Rami Bar Yecheskel, he learned a Braisa that said, it's only if it's tied into the sandal, stuck into the sandal, because if not, it might fall out. That the Rishonim speak out that this Tanai, that it has to be kosher, is only by a sandal, which it's open by the toes, it's shaykh for a insert to fall out. If you're wearing a shoe, there's no place for which this wad can go out through. And there, you don't have to have kosher. This qualification is only by a sandal. The third case in the Mishnah was ubemoich she'iskin lo lenidasa, right? Just speaking about not a halachic moich. We're speaking about a woman during her period, she wears protection, what we call to make sure that her garments don't get soiled. The woman is allowed to walk out with that b'rishus harabim. It's not considered a masui, nor, again, are we afraid that she's going to show it to anyone. So now the Gemara says, Rami Bar Yecheskel learned a Braisa regarding the earwad, regarding the sandal moich. So Rami Bar Yecheskel ameimer, even though he never read such a brisa, but he on his own was going to link, was going to compare, was going to extend this qualification also by the nidamoich. And he would therefore that somehow tied in between her thighs. If not, again, it might fall out and she might carry it. So Amar Rava, no. Here we don't say that. Even if it's not tied, even though it's like possible that it's going to fall out, even the since this, in comparison to the moich in the ear and in the moich in the sandal, this moich of anida so ma'os that that even if it falls out, she's going to leave it on the floor. This is something that no one will carry. What happens if it's a moich that has today? It's called wings. Then it was called asasala beisyad. In other words, there's some sort of handle. If there's a handle to it, that means there's a part of the moich on its extremities where, let's say, there won't be dam nida there. There, it will be a part, an edge where it won't be disgusting to hold it. Will we here also say that even if it's not kosher, she is allowed to walk out? So Amar Le, yes, even if it has a beis yad. In other words, in that area of the moichi, you're not going to be touching blood itself. It's still something so ma'us that even if it's not tied, mutter, she's allowed to walk out with it, because if it falls out somehow, she's not going to pick it up.
Rabbi, are these wads reusable?
Mistama, everything in those days, the concept of disposable, that's a samachla of our generation. Mistama, they needed to rewash it. That's why the moich ba'azna, it's also not that the geschmack to pick up your gook from your ear in your hand, and you needed it. You didn't have an option. Here, even though they needed it to reuse it, if it fell out, they weren't going to do it. Itmanami Amar Nachman bar Oishia, Amar Rabbi Yechanan, that even if asala beis yad and it's not kosher, nevertheless, mutar. All right, back to the wad and the ear with stories.
It's a wad.
Where's Danny? Wad. Good. All right. Rabbi Yechanan nafik behula beis midrash. On Shabbos, Rabbi Yechanan went to the beis medrash with a wad in his ear, and it was not tied. Not like we learned in the Braisa. And indeed, says the Gemara, that the Chalukan Olav Chaverim, that his Chaverim disagreed with him. Now, guys, remember the words Chalukan Olav, Chaverim. Now let's read the next story. Rabbi Yanai, he went out with this moich in his ear that was not tied, only to the Carmelists. Guys, Midrash, there's no problem Machlal doing Chaitzah over there. Now, God forbid, we're not minimizing the Isur D'Rabbanan. No, it's on a rabbinic level. He went out with this moich, and it wasn't tied. And here, it wasn't only his chavedim that challenged him. V'chalukin olav kol doiroi. The ganze Welt, the whole generation was told, how can you do that? It's not tied. Now, why is it that by Rabbi Yechanan it was only chavedov, and by Rabbi Yanai it was kol doiroi? We'll see in a moment. But now let's go back to Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Yechanan was the great leader in Eretz Yisrael. Ve'hatani Rami bar Yecheskel Rami didn't make it up. Rami quoted the Braisa. It wasn't an Amoira. Rabbi Yechanan can argue with Rami, yeah, but he can't argue with a Tana. But Rami bar Yecheskel learned the Braisa v'husha kasha laba'asna. So how did he go out with this moich without it being tied? I don't even know where you would tie it, but they had ways to tie it. So one says like kasha Rabbi Yechanan's moich the mahadak. Mahadak means that it was pressed tightly in his ear. It wasn't tied, but it was pressed tightly, which is what Rabbi Yechanan felt, that he's not going against the Braisa. The Braisa only says you have to tie it if it's loose. I mean, he said it was tight, which is why Taka, the general Doiroi, didn't argue with him. They accepted that. His Chaveirav argued. Okay. However, the Braisa is speaking about the Loi Mahadak. And that was also the case of Rabbi Yanai. In other words, if it's not strongly pressed into your ear, the Taka has to be tied, because the chances of it falling out is much higher. And Rabbi Yanai, who went out with the Loi Mahadak, Taka dir Chalukan Olav Kol Bnei Dodim. Back into the Mishnah, a person can go out with pilpel with a peppercorn in their mouth. A person is allowed to go out with a galgal melech with a lump of salt. Explains the Gemara what was put in the mouth for what purpose. That pilpel was put into the mouth to counter l'reya chapeh. Someone who has bad breath, they would put the peppercorn. Oh, that was the Listerine. And galgal melech, Says the Gemara, that was Lidoir Shine. That's for a person who has a potential tooth disease, and salt, as we know, Bachlal, when it comes to many illnesses and viruses and bacteria, that salt burns them out. So it prevents all these types of machlas. Now, before we go weiter, okay, let's just do one more shtickle, and then this is the second to last narrow line. This is the Mishnah. Or any other item that a person might put into the mouth that you may go out with it. You're not eating it. So, for example, says the Gemara, Zangevila is ginger, Inami, dartsoina, cinnamon, and all of these items are put into the mouth for some therapeutical purpose. Now here, Chavra, we have to just take a step back and say the following. I get it. Like Chadusha Haran and the other Rishonim say that these items are not considered the masui. Say there. Okay. Furthermore, a person who has it in the mouth will not remove it, like we have the chshad by the tachshitin, because they're there for therapeutical purposes. So yeah, so for a woman who's wearing a beautiful ring, she'll show it off. She might show it off. A person has something in their mouth for therapeutical purposes, they won't take it out. They need the therapy. But the question is, didn't we learn already so many times that Midrabanan, there is an isur of taking medicine on Shabbos? Shchika samemanim. Why is this allowed? And again, just to touch on these nakudas, we mentioned it last time. There's one approach. We're not paskening halacha l'maisa, but this is Takashitas Rashi, that any type of medicine that a person is taking as a preventative measure, not that you already, we gave an example of heartburn, not that you already have heartburn, you're taking something to prevent heartburn, right? A person doesn't yet have the bad breath. Person knows they have a samachla that during the day, the breath, after a meal, the breath starts coming out bad. So they put something in the mouth before they have the bad breath. They put salt in the mouth before they get the infection. That's not a problem. That's one approach. And then you have another approach, which we also, this is Lakula Alma, that anything that's called Michael Briam, right? I'm eating a food that people who are sick, say ginger, oh, it helps for this, for that, for the other. But people who are healthy also have it. So here the rule is that anything that's not exclusively for a chayla is allowed to be taken, even if you're taking it for some sort of therapeutical purposes. And I'm sure there are many other approaches that are discussed right over here addressing the issue of shchikas samamonim. We are up to the first white line. The Mishnah spoke about shein toiseves. Now, toiseves means false. There are a few ways of learning the Mishnah. We're going to just consistently learn the Gemara the way we learned the Mishnah. The Mishnah is not giving two cases. The Mishnah is giving one case. That shein toiseves, which is shein shel zav, if a person is wearing a false golden tooth or gilded tooth, machlekes tanoim. Rav Meir is matir, and the Chachamim are oisrim. When we learned the Mishnah, we learned that Rashi in the Mishnah. We're going to, I mean, there's many other ways of learning it, but we're going to just be consistent. That why did the Chachamim aser? Because since a golden tooth is very fake, you can see it's fake, stack of gold, but it's not your tooth. So again, maybe people will make fun of the one who has the golden tooth, and from shame, from embarrassment, they'll take it out and they'll carry it. That was the way we learned, right, the Rashi in the Mishnah. So let's continue. Amar Abzeh. Indeed, this, even the Chachamim who are asid, is only if the false is gold. The false tooth is gold. Silver, if you're wearing a false silver tooth, why, according to the way we're learning it, is because gold stands out more than silver, that it's fake. The silver is closer in color to one's natural teeth. You can debate that. It depends if your teeth are very yellow, maybe gold is similar. If the teeth are whiter, however it worked, that's what the Gemara is saying over here, according to the way we're learning. And Tanya Namihachi, indeed, that if a person is wearing a fake silver tooth, obviously we're speaking about something that's removable. If it's not removable, there's no problem. Something that fear is, again, Rashi says they'll make fun of the person, they'll take it out. Silver is okay. It's only shel zav that you have a machlokes, that even here Rebbe says you are allowed, and the Chachamim say that it's aser. Now hold on, let's analyze Shitas Rebbe, right? We had not only here by the tooth, we had many times already the concept that someone will feel uncomfortable, right? To learn that you can't wear only one sandal. Why? Because Rashi says Mishum Rabbeisai, because the observer is going to look at you, they'll laugh at you that you're wearing one shoe or one sandal. And you'll be uncomfortable, you'll take off the one that you're wearing, you'll carry it. So why Taka is Rebbe not concerned with that a woman will be embarrassed and she'll take out her golden tooth? And the answer is, even if people make fun of you, which is wrong, that you have a golden tooth, but taking out a tooth, walking out with one tooth less, according to Rebbe, is bigger embarrassment. Verstehst? And that's the word that we're going to learn over here that says Abaya, that Rebbe and Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon Elazar, Kulos Fidelahu, they all subscribe to this, which is the whole midah, the miganyobe, any activity or any item that will cause one embarrassment. Some people are good, it's not one of two govs. It's la'achavuye, that no one is going to be removing it to show it off. In other words, if there is a busha, by taking it off, you're not going to take it off. Now, obviously, if it's a masoi, this doesn't help. Then you're violating choitzah midoiraisa. We're speaking about on all of the rabbinics where you're not carrying it. Elama, you might carry it. If you might carry it because it's going to fall off, we're not addressing that. But if you might carry it because you're going to take it off, if taking something off brings about busha, we're never chayshish. And the Rebbe Hadamanim, like we just explained, that even if someone is going to laugh at this man or woman, give a coke, you have a golden tooth. Taking off the tooth is greater busha. They're going to be walking around with one tooth less. Now, again, always in the achronim, you can go into details. Is that a front tooth? Is that a side tooth? Just a concept we get. Rabbi Eliezer, the Tanya, Rabbi Eliezer, poiter, and poiter doesn't mean poiter. Poiter here means mutter, that a woman is allowed to walk out with a koivelas. Here, koivelas means the woolen ornamental cap that she wore under her hat. I'm sorry. Koivelas means the spice bundle. The spice bundle. The woman that has a bad body odor. And therefore, to counter that or to camouflage that, she's wearing a koivelas or a tzoloichi shel palyotin, a flask of balsam oil. And again, why Rabbi Eliezer said poiter? Because the Chachamim said she's chai b'chatos. We learned that really Rabbi Eliezer says it's mutter. And what was the logic? We learned that before. Because, okay, it's like a fancy flask of balsam oil. She's ashamed that she has the body odor, that she even needs this. And because of that embarrassment, she doesn't want anyone to know that she's wearing it. And she'll never take it off, and it's mutter lachatchila. And Rab Shimon Elazar, the Tanya, Klal Amar Rab Shimon Elazar. That now we're speaking about the woolen cap under the hat. Kol shulamata min hasivacha, any article that a woman wears under her hat, yoitziba, she's allowed to go out to the Rishus Harabim. It's only if it's lamayla min hasivacha, only articles, ornaments that she wears above her hat. Eina yoitziba, there she indeed may not go out, as we spoke out before. Something is ornamental, she'll take it off to show it off. If it's ornamental but it's under her hat, even though she's able to keep one hand on her hat, so her hair should not be completely exposed. She can pull out the cap from underneath it. It's shaykh to do such a thing, but still, when a woman does such a thing, there's a possibility that some of her hair will become exposed. And a woman who's still sensitized will be ashamed to expose any of her hair but a Rishus Harabim. And she'll be embarrassed that some of her hair is showing. And because of that fear, she won't take off this ornamental kippah under her hat. And according to the Tana, indeed, she's allowed to wear it, mutter to wear it, but it's Rishus Harabim. Next Mishnah. It says the Mishnah, Yoitze B'Sela, a woman, right? We're speaking about a woman, but as we'll see, Lav Dafka woman, it's a hemshech from Daf Samach Daled Amud Beis, Lashon Nekeva, Yoitze B'Sela, a woman can go out with a sela, with a coin, that's on top of her tzinis. What's a tzinis? Rashi says, the Gemara will explain. The heads up, tzinis is some sort of wound on the heel or under the heel of a person. And as we'll see, the therapy that one did, also not only a therapy, but the preventative, that you should not step on thorns. You wore something hard under the wound. So if you step on something like a little pebble, it shouldn't irritate the wound more, a lot more in the Gemara. Shocking therapy in the Gemara. So a woman is allowed to walk out with this coin. The next is, we already quoted this above, that women in the times of Chazal only put earrings when they got older. Even when they were married, if they were young. Now the hole they made when they were very young because of the pain. Elamah, we all know this from our daughters, that if you make a hole in the ear and you don't put something in, it's going to close. So what they did is they made a hole in the ear and they would put either threads or some of them would put splinters of wood and they would leave it there for a long time. It's been for years. And then when they reach the level that they're zoicha to wear earrings, they would take all this and put in that. So says the Mishnah that habonles ketanis, that the younger girls are allowed yoitzos b'chut, and they are allowed to walk out with threads, and even b'kesamim with the splinters in their ear. Shabbos nayim. The concept here is, I'll go back to coin. You're never going to remove because it's therapeutical. You need it on. The threads, they were told, don't take it out, even if you want to show it off. You don't want the little hole to close. Now, of course, taking it out for a couple of minutes won't do anything. But as a rule, girls knew not to take these things out of the ears so they can walk out. And it's ornamental, so therefore it's not carrying. That's taken. The next is arviyos. Arviyos means Arabs. It doesn't mean Arabs. It means Jewish women that live in Arabic countries. That the Arabs have a minute to go out to Re'ulois. Re'ulois is heint in English, a burqa. Re'ulois, Dr. Rashi, they wear a garb that covers their face, a face mask. The only thing that is visible are their eyes. Since this is the derech of the levush of those countries, a Yiddish woman is allowed to go out re'ulois. And parenthetically, Mashiach is coming now, but this topic on the corona, can you go out in places where there's no eruv with the face mask? We're not even speaking about if this is negeya for sakonis nefashos, then there's no shaila. But let's put that aside in a moment. Just the general approach is that anything that becomes the malbush of that time and at that place is called a malbush. And let's go back to the reulis, to the burkas. It's a malbush. Likewise, Madai is a province of Persia, and they then would have a minig to wear perufos. Perufos means is that today we have buttons. So if you have this long robe and you want to fasten it to one side, so you have a button. They didn't have a button. What they would do is they would take, as we'll see, either a nut or a coin, something that's not connected to. Let's say I want to fasten it to my shoulder. So I take the beged from one side and I take a coin and I bunch it. I put it under one place. I put the other side on top of it with a rope and I tie it together. So it's some sort of makeshift way of closing, of fastening a garment. So you're putting a stone, you're putting a nut. We're not speaking about muksa now, we're speaking about a nut. So you are allowed to do it. The nut is not tied on like a button, but that was the minig, that was the way you would close, you would fasten a garment. Now the Mishnah continues, and it's very enigmatic, that v'chol adam, really it's not just a woman, right? Ella shedibru chachamim b'haiva. And dirachim b'haiva, it doesn't only mean men and it's men and women. It's about madiyos and araviyos. It doesn't have to be araviyos. If you're living in a time and a place where people go with a burqa, then you can go with a burqa. Now the Mishnah goes into a detail of this type of fastening, right? Your garment on from one side to the other, not using a button, not using a belt, but by bunching the garment of one side over, again, an item that's hard, a pebble, a coin, and then you would take the other side and you would tie it onto that. So Perefes, you can do this type of fastening, whether you're using an evan, you can use a stone. Guys, we're not going into muksa. We have to address muksa. We're speaking just about the concept that this stone, if it's not muksa, it's not called a masui. It's part of the beged. Allah ego is on a nut, Allah madveh on a coin. However, the Mishnah, you could do it. Now the Mishnah says something that appears to be a contradiction. But don't do a lechatchila. And right away the Gemara is going to ask, you could or you cannot. And we'll get to that in a moment. Okay, so first the Gemara, right? The Rishon Rishon, the Chacham, we're going to the first din of the Mishnah. Yoitza basela sha'al hatzinis. Frag the Gemara, what's hatzinis? Answers the Gemara, bas ara. It's a wound, but it's a wound that's connected to the ground. In other words, it's a wound that someone has under the sole of their foot. So now the Gemara wants to understand, okay, we're speaking about someone who's putting on the sela, like we said, it's preventative, but it's connected to, it's for therapeutic reasons. Ilema, why are you putting a coin? That it's because we want something to be hard. Hard meaning that since you walk on the roads and there might be thorns and there might be pebbles and they protrude upwards and they go into your feet and you already have a wound that's going to make it worse. And the kavanah is you're putting something that's hard. Well, if that's the case, even a shard, which is a broken piece of ceramic, is also hard enough for protection. There's something unique about the coin. Ela mishum shoichsa. Now, shoichsa is amazing. Shoichsa silver, Rashi says, generates moisture, and people understood that the moisture that is generated when silver is on your body promotes healing. Remember, I heard this a long time ago regarding copper. Some people wear these copper bracelets. Here we're learning about that this metal on your body has a certain therapeutical value, and the coins were made out of silver, so it's for the silver. So the Gemara says it can be, that's the reason. Because if you're looking for the silver in it, li'evad lo kasa. Kasa means a plate. Why do you need coinage? Coinage is a bit more expensive. Oh, so it can't be for that. Elo, it must be mishum tsurta. Now this is, for me, was shocking, I remember. Tsurta means, is that, the Gemara is accepting this, is that a graven image on your body has some sort of therapeutical value. Not because it's silver and not because it's hard, because it's an image. Now also, you learn this, you begin thinking, maybe that's why when we still had the Yetzer Hara for Avodah Zarah, people were oivid these graven images. Maybe because if a graven image has a therapeutical value, they gave it too much value. They imbued in it divinity, God forbid. But here is having a concept that a graven image on your body, atsura, it brings about some sort of healing. So, but if that will be the reason, then why does it have to be a coin? Any graven image. It can be a wooden graven image. Pulsa, make a graven image out of wood. So therefore, everything we mentioned is correct. However, if you have one item that has in it all three, even better, it's a cocktail of therapy. Hulu, malula, hardness. That's practical. If you have a wound, basada, under your soul, you want to have hard soles. You want to have something hard protecting your wound. The fact that it's silver on your body, that moisture promotes healing. Wow. And the fact that it's a coin, so there's old coins that they had the image like today of a king, image of a ruler, that graven image in itself also brings about healing. So people used all three together. They would not take it off. They wouldn't take it off because it has therapeutical value. They wouldn't take it off, and therefore not it's called a masoi, nor is there a hashash. You're going to carry it, and therefore lachatchila you can wear it on your wound on Shabbos. Here again,
Rabbi, does it have to dafka be these three things and nothing else?
No, he's just explaining that every one of these three has value. Whoever heard that having a graven image on your body is going to bring about healing? We're so careful even to go away from this. It's mamash you learn everything in the Torah. Then the next case in the Mishnah was that Habbanos, that young girls can go out with the chutin, with the threads in the holes in the ear, in the place that they're going to later put on fancy earrings, because they don't take it out. So says the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Avua de Shmuel. Guys, we just had this out, Brachas, I think it was Brachas Yudches. Who remembers what was Shmuel's father's name? Remember that whole story that he went to the Beis HaChaim and he wanted to speak to his father? Like Shmuel's father's name was Abba Bar Abba. So says the Gemara, father of Shmuel, three unique behaviors from his father. Number one, he did not allow his daughters, meaning Shmuel's sisters, to go out on Shabbos with the strings in their ears. Number two, he did not allow them to sleep in close proximity, one with the other. And number three, we'll explain each one in a moment, that the father of Shmuel made for his daughters, in other words, Shmuel's sisters, he made mikvahs b'yoyma de Nisan during the Nisan days. Again, we learned the Sanida, we're going to mamish unpackage this, God willing, properly on the days, because he felt that the option which was there, the Euphrates River, which sometimes was a kasher mikvah, according to the father of Shmuel, was not a kasher mikvah b'yoyma de Nisan, whether yoyma de Nisan means only spring or from spring until Tishrei. So for a period of time, they were not allowed to use it, and we'll explain why. And when they were allowed to go into the Euphrates, there was another issue that he had, and that's called chatzitza, similar to the concept, even though we don't do it, but to the theoretical permissibility of going to the beach, into the ocean for a mikvah. The challenges, amongst others, is that when you go in there, there's going to be the sand stuck under your feet. By the Euphrates River, it's not sand, it's mud. And he circumvented the problem of mud for chatzitza by putting mats inside the Euphrates or mats leading up into the river. So when they would walk into the river, they would walk upon mats and they would not have mud on their feet, which is also a big chiddush regarding putting a keli in the mikvah. Lav dafka, he put the mats in the Euphrates. He put it basically on the boardwalk. He put it on the river front, the Yom of the Tishrei, so they should not have to walk on mud as they are going into the Euphrates. And again, each one of these we're going to properly learn right now. So let's go on to Seder. Number one, says the Gemara, that Leshavik Lahu, Yoitzes Bechutin, father of Shmuel, Abba bar Abba, did not allow his daughters to go out with these strings in their ears. Why not? We learned in our Mishnah, Habonois, Yoitzes Bechutin. Answers the Gemara, second to last line, the Nase, the Abu Ad Shmuel, the daughters of the father of Shmuel, the Tzivainim Havu, their chutin, their threads, they were colorful, they were beautiful, and they would show them off. So if you're wearing stam threads, yeah, they understood you can't take it out for a long time, but they knew even now you can take it out a little bit and the ears won't close in a second. So he felt that because of the beauty of his daughters, because of their beautiful threads, they will take it off. Okay, number two. L'shafik lahu gamion gabi hadadi. He did not allow them to sleep in close proximity one with the other. Says the Gemara, Lema misayei leila Rafuna. L'chura, this will be a proof to Rafuna. The Amar Rafuna nashim hamisoilu loizu bezu. Women that rub against each other. We're speaking about sexually. Turning to Daf Samachem and Beis psulois likohuna. Wow. What does it mean, psulis lekahuna? We're going to learn Gemara Rashi, top Rashi. Rashi explains that kahuna doesn't mean kahuna, it means kahuna gedoyla. And as Rashi quotes that a kohen gadol, not only is he bound by lavin not to marry a bula, and not to marry a gerusha, but there is a positive commandment that he has to marry a psula. And now he's explaining that midoiraisa, if two women slept with each other, it doesn't take away their status of psula, midoiraisa. But according to Rafuna, midrabanan it does. And look inside the words, that the lehavya psula shlema. Wow. Why? The second line in Rashi, hoyel v'derech zunus, chashiv lei lavorachara. So in other words, l'chura, the reason is just we find that nasham hamasaylo zubazu is psula lekahuna. Now again, he was not allowing his daughters to sleep in the same bed. They're not nasham hamasaylo zubazu. But the pshat in the Gemara will be is that since Rav Huna says that if they'll develop that tendency, it's a psul. And for example, a kohen gadol, there was no kohen gadol then. Doesn't matter. It's a v'haraya. A kohen gadol cannot marry them. So to prevent his daughters from going in that direction, he never allowed them to sleep together. We're speaking about sleeping together with kiruv basar. So says the Gemara. Says the Gemara, loy lav dafka. Could be he doesn't agree with Rav Huna. Could be nasham hamasaylu is still kosher for a kohen gadol. Why did he not allow his daughters to sleep to each other? Not because he didn't want them to develop this type of tendency. Not because of that. Samar, he held, he doesn't want them to become accustomed to lying near another body. Because like Rashi says, because if his daughters would do that, then they'll develop a greater desire to be lying with a man. So to prevent them from developing this taiva, when they were younger, they should never sleep one next to the other. Okay, and now let's dwell in greater depth on the third, which is that he made for them a mikvah in the days of Nisan. In other words, he did not want for his daughters to use the Euphrates River as the mikvah during Nisan, or according to many Rishonim, from Nisan, from spring, until when you're so at the end of the summer, really by Tishrei, so in those parts of the world, it doesn't rain during summer, that the water substantially subsided, they shrunk up. Only from then did he allow them to go. So now the Gemara explains, this is really a siyua to that which Rav taught us. That when it rains in the west, when it rains in Eretz Yisrael, the Euphrates River is a great witness. The Euphrates is a great witness that the Euphrates River, like any other river, let's speak about the Euphrates, which was there in Babel, the river can be swollen and it can be oizgemugert. It can be very narrow, very skinny. Why is it very swollen? So Raf says, because the rain waters flow into the Euphrates. They flow into rivers. How is that negea to a dinner mikvah? So let's chazar a few basic dinner. The Torah in Parsha Shmini, speaking about a mikvah, describes two different types of mikvahs, and they go by different rules. There is what we call a mayon, which is also known as mayim chayim. A zav has to go only in a mayon, for example. He cannot be going into a mikvah, won't help him. And then you have what we call mikvei mayim, a gathering of water. What will be the difference if you are using a spring well or waters that came from the spring when they are still in their natural place, like a river? When you're going into a river, you're not going into the spring, you're not going into Larizal's mikvah, but the waters of the river come from spring waters. They come from waters that go up from under the ground. Is that one important rule is that when it comes to spring waters, we don't need for the waters to be ashboiden. We don't need for the waters to be gathered and stationary. It can be what's called zoichalin. It can be flowing and it's good. And that's taka the pshat of a river. A river is not a lake. A river means it's flowing into the ocean. It's flowing somewhere. So it's not stationary. Doesn't matter. It's spring water. When it comes to mayin, to make shamim, aside of other dinim that we speak so much about that make shamim may not be she'uvim, you may not gather it in a keli before you put it into the mikvah. Take that aside. When the make shamim are in the mikvah the right way, if the make shamim are zoichalin, if they're flowing, right, if there's a crack in the mikvah is not kosher. Very important. Now, what is a river? So here we're going to be applying, we're learning the Gemara and Rashi. There's so many ways of learning this whole topic, but we're going to be learning like this, that we follow roiv, a simple biblical majority. There's no doubt that when it rains, what, the rainwater doesn't rain into the river? Of course it does. But being that the roiv, the majority of the waters in a river are from a mayon, so generally we say that the water, the rivers is mayon, and therefore we don't care that it's flowing, that it's zoichalin, and you can use it as a mikvah. Comes along the father of Shmuel, based on what Rav taught, that why do rivers become swollen? It's because a lot of rainwater is flowing into the river. The moment, holds the father of Shmuel, that you'll have roiv rainwater, then it's going to have a status. It's taka, the rainwater was never in a keli. It's not mayim shuvim. You don't have the problem of mayim shuvim. You have a problem of zoichalin. It's flowing. You may not go into a mikvah of rainwater if it's flowing. So the mikvah becomes invalidated. Now, let me speak out one nekuda, which is so important, and that is the following: that today, when we go today in a mikvah, we don't go into the rainwater. We go into tap water. Why are the mikvahs kosher? Because according to the Rabbi Rashab, underneath the mikvah that we go into, there's another boyer in which there's the make shamim. According to many others, there is another make shamim boyer on the side, whether it's al gab mikvah, whether it's al sad. Point is that there's a concept called hashaka. Hashaka literally means kissing. Hashaka means that if I have waters that are not kosher, but if they are kissing, if they're touching make shamim, they become included in the make shamim. So hold on, the question is, what was this problem? That many rainwaters are falling into mayon waters, and it can be even roiv. Who cares? It's kissing the mayon waters. So it should always have a status of a mayon. Why doesn't hashaka work over here? It's a very important concept. And the answer is, without going into the lumdis, is that hashaka only is good to remove the issue of she'uvim. In other words, if water was gathered in a keli, like tap water, and you want to take away that invalidation, if it's being noishik, if there is hashaka with proper make shamim, it's not called mei she'uvim, but it's still called rainwater. You know, it's our mikvah has a status of rainwater. You want to use the river because it's called a spring, which is why you don't care by the fact that it's zoichalin. Hashaka never creates mayon water. And therefore, he held that you may not use it when the roiv is make shamim. Now, what's the counter to that? We'll see inside the Gemara. So, but he holds, Mele holds, that shelo yirbu hanoitvim. You know what noitiv? Noitiv means to drip. Rainwater. Dripping water. Because if there's more rainwater than the mayon zoichalin, then it's going to be invalidated because it's flowing. However, the Gemara says, that Shmuel, his son, argued with the Shita. Listen to this. The Amar Shmuel holds, Nahara, yeah, there are times that the river is very empty, relative, and there are times that rivers are swelled with water. But from where is that additional water coming from? Mikipe, from its rock, from its bedrock. In other words, it's coming from under the ground. And like Tosfos points out, why after it rains? Yeah, the waters of the rain go into the ground. And then the spring waters become increased. Again, no one is denying the fact that some rainwater does go into the river. But the big swelling, the rave of a river, according to Shmuel, is always Mayan, is always springs water. It's blessed. Nahara mikipe mevarech. It's blessed from what we have under the ground. And here we have the very important Tosfos. It's not the only place, but here also, Shabbos HaMechemet Beis, that the Omer Rabbeinu Tam, that the halacha is like Shmuel. And we'll see how interesting is the statement of the Rabbeinu Tam when we learn the next line in the Gemara. So we have a big machlokes. In other words, can a woman use a river for a mikvah? Halacha l'maisa. We're not paskening here. According to Shmuel, always. However, the Gemara points out that even though Shmuel argued with his father, he argued with his father in the yeshiva, in the Beis HaMedrash. He did not argue with his father halacha l'maisa. You should know, when it comes to paskening dinim for a mikvah, we do everything we could to have a mikvah that's good according to all the opinions. Shmuel halacha l'maisa was choishish to his father, which is why you pliga didei adidei. Shmuel argued with himself. The Amar Shmuel says that ein hamayim etarim b'zoichalin. If you have flowing waters, meaning no flowing waters purify, which means no river purifies. Ela pras, only the Euphrates during the times of Tishrei, and not during the times of spring and summer, or at least according to the Shenim, according to spring. The Gemara is not asking a question, how do you contradict yourself? No, that's a general approach when it comes to Hilchas Mikvos. Shmuel, in the Beis Medrash, told his father, I hold that Naharo Mekipe Mevarech. It's always Raiv, spring water, Mayim Chaim. I don't care that it's flowing. When someone asked me halacha l'maisa question, he said to do what his father said. Not to be, God forbid, that the mikvah, this Isuri Kares, is going to be a, God forbid, we're not gonna properly go to the mikvah. All right, let's go weiter. Then the Mishnah, as we pointed out, said a statement and then appears to be contradicting itself. First, the people from Mada used to have these poirefes, these types of, they used to fasten their garments one side to the other, not on a button, not with strings, not with parts that were part of the beged, but they would put in a rock or they would put in a coin, and then they would bunch it over and they would fasten it. So the Mishnah uses the word lechatchila, that poirefes on an even and on an egois, right on a medbeya, and then the Mishnah says, but don't do it on Shabbos. Only if you did it before Shabbos. What you said you can do it on Shabbos, mashma on Shabbos. Amar Abaye, that the final statement in the Mishnah, when the Mishnah says the words that that's only going on the third example on the matbeya, and the Gemara is not elaborating. So the Gemara is expecting us to chop what's going on over here. Yes, the Gemara is addressing muktzah, coinage. A coin is muktzah. Now, there are times that mental designation, oral designation suffices for you to take an article out of muktzah into muchan, which means it's not set aside for it not to be used on Shabbos. It's muchan, it's prepared to be used on Shabbos. What made it prepared? Sometimes because I had in mind to use it. Even better than that is I said I'm going to use it. He holds, the way Abai is explaining the Mishnah, that a coin is azoy muktzah, that even if you made an oral declaration, I'm going to use this coin to do this type of fastening, not good enough, still muktzah. You know how do you remove muktzah status from a coin? When you actually used it. You did a maisa. Now I know that this maisa is not changing the coin, but it's a better step. I actually used it, that it should become part of the garment. And by a coin, that step is needed. Interestingly, by an even, that's not needed. By the egois, it's for sure not needed. But by the matbeya, it is needed. Now says the Gemara, baya, isha mau, shetarim, v'tifroif al ha'egois, lohoitzi libana, cotton the Shabbos. Great question, a big question is. A woman is living in a place where that's the way people would, like India, Mistama today, that's the way they would fasten their garments. They would sometimes use a egois. A woman is being honest. My son is out in Rosh Hashanah, and he wants to have his egois. I can't take a nut to him. I can't carry. Eloma, I'm wearing the garment. Some people actually use a nut to fasten the garment? Is she allowed to put a nut to close a part, to fasten up a part of her garment? Really, she doesn't need it. She doesn't care to go out with the garment loose. She's doing it because she's going to walk to her son. Then she'll be with him. She'll give him the egos. That's called a legal loophole. That's called employing a ha'arama, right? It's like a deceit. Is she allowed to do it? Now, the Gemara says like this: There's a machlokes, a general machlokes, whether ma'arimim or not. Where do we find this machlokes? So Rashi, around 5 lines before the bottom of the Amid, quotes in Masechta Shabbos from Daf Kuf Chaf a question in the following scenario. Let me just give a little hagdama to the machlokes that Rashi is quoting over here. Even though a person is allowed to carry from one's house to one's chutzner, and even on a rabbinic level, right? If the chutzner is shared, if you made an eruv chatzeres, we're speaking about a case where there's no isur, not doiraisa, nor midrabanan to carry from your house to your yard. If a person, God forbid, has a fire in one's house, now we're not allowed to extinguish a fire, only if it's pikuach nefesh. In most cases, or at least then, go out of your house. All of your belongings will get burnt down. That's not pikuach nefesh. That's a financial challenge. So like this, Chazal came out and they said that if a person will be allowed to carry everything out, listen to the logic over here. Because you're allowed to carry, a person is going to say to himself, anyways, I can carry everything out. Really, halachically, I don't need to lose anything. And that might make the person say, I'm going to put the fire out. Interesting psychology. If a person knows that if there's a fire, they're going to lose finances, they accept it. Okay, that's what God wants, and that's my nesayin. If the moment there is a heterdik way to save all of your belongings, if taka you're going to go ahead and you're going to run in and out and take everything out, they were afraid that you're going to put out the fire. So therefore, Chachamim says, you can't schlep everything out. There's a limit as to how much can you schlep out into your yard. They limited it. Now the question is, okay, whatever the limit of garments are, I have in my closet 8 pairs of pants. Am I allowed to put on all of the pants one on top of the other? I have 8 jackets. Can I put 8 jackets one on top of the other? And I'm not carrying. I'm wearing it. If I'm wearing it, I'm not violating this rabbinic law that you can't save everything. That was the question. And that's again called a deceit. It's a ha'arama. I'm employing ha'arama because I don't want to wear more than 1 jacket. I'm fooling. I'm saying, the Chachamim put a limit how much clothing I can carry out. I'm not carrying out, I'm only wearing it. So that's this machlokes we'll have on Daf Kuf Chaf, whether you are or not allowed to do it. So the Gemara says that our question doesn't travel on the same track as the question on Daf Kuf Chaf, and we'll read it inside. To boil by the fire, even those who say that you are allowed to wear many more garments that you are accustomed to. Hassan, who there they allowed you to do that because the Eloi shot so if they would not give you that permissibility to wear your garments, you might put it out. It's amazing the psychology. You have to appreciate what Chazal said here. They put a limit in the beginning, they put a limit at the end. It's called a window. It's if they would allow you to carry as you are allowed to carry from your house to your yard, if I can carry everything out, that means that when there's a fire in my mind, a fire doesn't mean financial loss. I mean, the house will get burnt out, but doesn't mean that my belongings will get burnt. My chafetzim don't have to be lost. And halachically, I can take it out. But I don't have enough time, I'll put out the fire. God forbid, I'll be mechal Shabbos. So the moment there's a fire, a person right away knows I'm losing my house, I'm losing some of my belongings. There's a limit. But some of my belongings I can save. But on the other side of the window, if a person feels that they can't even save some of their belongings, such a big nesayin, I'm going to lose my house and all of my belongings, of almost all of my belongings, I'm going to put it out. So there they said, okay, you can't take all of your garments out, but you can wear it out. So they gave you a heter to save more. Over here, if you're not going to allow the woman to make the harama, so you put on the nut, she doesn't need the nut to close her clothing. She needs the nut for the kid. She's not going to carry, okay, so the kid won't have a nut. You can say the same thing in reverse. By the lake, we don't allow to do harama. Why? This is important. People do not wear a lot of garments one on top of the other. However, maybe even now in third world countries, people carry, transport, not wear. They transport garments by wearing many garments one on top of the other. In other words, I never put on more than one jacket or more than two jackets, right? Your jacket and your coat. If I'm going to put on 8 jackets, what is that called? Is that called wearing or is that called carrying? If I'm living in Brazil and a coat salesman who cannot afford the luggage, that's the way he goes from town to town. He wears all of the garments. For him, by the way, it's not called wearing. That's the way he carries it. That's the way he transports it. So if I'm going to put on many garments, first of all, who says I'm going to stop in my yard? I might go out to the Rosh Hashanah. And if I do that, I'm going to be violating the Shabbos Doiraisa, because that's called Haitzah. It's important. Remember, we learned a few daf ago, a belt on top of a belt. It serves no function, a belt on top of the same place of the other belt, but it's called carrying. And it's not even carrying because people carry wearing garments one on top of the other, not for dressing, for carrying. But over here, ain't that a Haitzah b'kach? What's the issue over here? Let's say that this harama, who are you fooling? She's not really putting it on to fasten her garment. Okay, so what are you going to call this? You're going to call this haitzah. Haitzah means to carry, right? She's transferring. No one transfers a nut in their garments. You transfer a nut in your hand. So even if you're going to say that it's not that kosher, max, she's never violating an Isur Doiraisa. She's only violating an Isur D'Rabbanan. That's called haitzah k'la chayat. And therefore, ema shaper dummy. And therefore, the question over here doesn't have to be linked to the question on Daf Kuf Chaf. So we have a question, may a woman do it or not? And on that we say, Teiku, the question stands, Teiku Tishbi Yataretz, Kushiyas Va'aboyas. And we'll start with the new Mishnah. Now, Hakiteya, an amputee. An amputee would wear in the times of Chazal a wooden foot. Not that foot helped him walk. Not only that, that wooden foot didn't even help him with leaning his weight. It wasn't good enough for you to lean your weight properly. It wasn't in service of you. It was ornamental. Ornamental means it was to camouflage, it was to cover up this person's infirmity, this person's lack of limb. Now the question is that called haitzah? So says the first Tana, says Rabbi Meir, that even, he says it's not haitzah. Why is it not haitzah? Yoitze bekav shaloi. Now you heard the lashon kav. Kav sometimes means a measurement. Right? Here, kav means a wooden leg. It's a stick. You can go out, the amputee can go with his leg. You know why? Says Rashi, this is very important because the minal didehu, because it's a shoe. What is a shoe, my friends? A shoe is not a tachshit. A shoe is a beged. And a beged is something that is not bechlal included in the issue of haitzah. Now it's a chiddush because the normal shoes in the times of Chazal were leather. Aside of the fact that it's longer. But Rav Meir says, no, since for him it's like his shoe, it has a din of a beged, and therefore lechatchila you can go out. However, daf samach vav, we're going to just learn this din of the Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi says oiser, and a couple of steps. Number one, Rabbi Yossi holds it's not a beged because a shoe is leather, and that was the customary footwear then leather. Elamai, you're going to be mated. Okay, it's not a shoe, but it's a tachshit. You look better when people see right away you're missing a leg. So that's why Rashi says, no, it's not even a tachshit. If it's not a beged, then it's not a tachshit. You know what it is? It's a masoy. It's considered a burden, like we explained. Okay, now this is dissimilar, not like the halachic question whether a person who needs to go with a walker, who cannot walk without a walker, and there is no aid of that, they are allowed to walk with a walker. It's an accessory to the person. That's because the walker, the crutch, the staff, the stick. Oh, my father loved the stick. I'm a chaya. That becomes part of you. But that's because it's helping you walk. This is the nekuda that the kiteya was. It didn't help you walk. It was not a burden on you. When you walk, you needed to schlep. Elamai, it was keilu ornamental. But halachically, it's not ornamental, according to Rabbi Yossi. And now, because of that, says the Mishnah, if this foot possesses a receptacle, in order to hold kesisin, rags. In other words, the stump of the leg went into this kav. If there was a hollow in which you were able to put rags, so the stump of the foot doesn't go directly on the wood. Now we're going to consider this kav as a clay eights that has a receptacle. And therefore, it's susceptible to becoming tummy. If there isn't even room for you to put rags, so it's the stump right on top of the wood, again, being that the leg was not there to support your weight, if this wooden leg was to support your weight, and even more if it helps you walk, then it's also called a clay kibble because it's made to be makabel your stump. But that's not the case. It wasn't makabel your stump. It wasn't made to help you lean on it. It was just a camouflage that you're missing a leg. And therefore, if it doesn't even have space to hold rags, so then it's called pshute klayeitz. Pshute klayeitz is not susceptible to becoming tamei. How great is that? Now, God willing, we'll continue the other dinim in the Mishnah tomorrow in this year.
So what does it have to do with Otzah and stuff, if it's gets tamei or not?
No, nothing at all.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. It's just mamash me'inyan le'inyan.
Okay.
But all of this, just appreciate that today. I forgot the word in English. What do they call these limbs? It's called a
prosthetics.
Prosthetics. That's it. Prosthetics today are complete. First of all, prosthetics today are mamash mutter, no shaila, because it's to help you walk. It doesn't have to be a malbush. It doesn't have to be a tachshit. I say today you're allowed to walk with a crutch. If a person is able without, the only shaila you have is if I'm able without it. I'm able. How do you define that? It's not that comfortable, but I'm able. We're speaking about where there's no eruv. That's where you have a shaila. I'll give you a very similar shaila, which is not something that we have in our world, but the Litvish are into it, and maybe some of ours. Glasses. Can you go out with glasses? That's a good mashal. No, it's if a person feels that they can go without glasses, then it's not an accessory that's needed for you, and therefore there might be a problem.
Well, reading glasses was always a problem, no?
Reading glasses reading glasses is a problem. A problem, not maybe a problem. Bifocals is not a problem. And I think we learned in brachas, we learned in brachas when we learned about ashashis be'erv. I think I mentioned it, that they, like if I see an erva through a glass, so it's still a problem, right? As far as the erva, I can't say davar shabikadusha. But for some other din, if there's a glass, it's a hefsek. And therefore the briskers, they don't read the Torah with glasses because they're not reading it directly. They're reading it through a glass.
That's a good one.
So a good one. So side, they don't walk with it because you don't need it. And what's there to see anyways? Better, the less you see in the street, the better it is. Side, you can't read from the Torah, so who needs glasses? You'll just notice if you're going to a real brisker shul, you see everyone with the sidurim up to their noses. And if they bump into you on the street, be compassionate because they're not wearing they can't see. I think by us, Rabbi Lapkovsky, our Rosh Yeshiva now doesn't wear glasses in public, doesn't wear glasses on Shabbos.
Rabbi Eckhouse never wore glasses on Shabbos. He used to bump into the street posts. He used to laugh.
Mamash. Yeah, that's connected to this din.
Rabbi Ovadia has a whole thing with glasses because he had those glasses of his famous glasses. So he has a whole thing about it in Shabbat, and also whether it's a chatzitz or not, and he could. Exactly.
No, he wrote about it because the briskers, he dealt with them. He strongly argued with that.
Yeah.
And again, you can't compare glasses to the kav. The Mishnah's kav is that mamash, it didn't help you. It took a piece of wood, just a guy from far away didn't see that your pants ends halfway down. You put your pants over it, or it was just a tachshit. And Rabbi says nishkan tachshit. It wasn't a big tachshit.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
Rabbi,
Yes.
Rabbi. The last thing we learned before the Mishnah, this concept of derech haitzah, right?
Yes. Or by garment. In other words, if I.
Oh, wait. If it's derech haitzah, then that's a rationale to be aseret?
Sure. But Danny, derech haitzah doesn't mean it's a malbush. That means if I'm a Brazilian clothes salesman, I promise you they do that. In order not to carry things, they put on 20 pairs of pants. That will be them until today. It's not a malbush, but they're carrying it.
So the guy by the fire that says that that's usser would still
Because
say
if
very
you go
possibly that the nuts on the clothes is mutter.
and it'll be violated midoiraisa. People wear not as a malbush for carrying many garments. No one carries a nut by putting it in their garment and bunching it up, and no one does that. They don't do that to carry. So since she'll never violate a doiraisa, we don't care if she does harama. That's the general rule that we can do haramas for the rabbanans. We can't do haramas for the doiraisas. I'm not saying.
So what would the harama be besides the nut? What else would that be?
Harama what the conservatives complain that mechiras chametz is a harama. What are you talking about? That Eruv in the cities are harama. What are you talking about? That's their whole kind the Orthodox, when we find it convenient, when we think it's important, we make haramas.
Like a prusbul.
Huh?
Like a prusbul.
And by the way, very good. The Gemara Taka says in Gittin, Mait Lamed Vav, that the only reason why he'll is because it's midrabanan. Right? That's the whole thing, because he says, since it's only when there's yovel, since it's only midrabanan, you can do a prusbul. That's one of the sources that you can only do a harama if it's a darabanan. Anadoirai, so you can do haramas.
Well, mechiras chametz is not a derabbanan. What are you talking about?
I know that, but there it was much worse. They needed it more. If all of the Ashkenazic Jews made a living of selling mashke, then you're taking away the parnasa of the whole Jewish community. I know. I mean, we hold that there's Ruach HaKodesh and the Siyata D'Shmaya, and people that are frum, if they have this and they say it's okay and it's accepted, then we accept it. If not, we're very hesitant to make haramas.
Have a
great day.
Yom Tov.